Starting us off in at number 10 with a mysterious temple door. India's most sacred and popular temple is known as Padmanabhaswamy Temple. It is by far the most visited temple in the country. However, inside of its heavily guarded gates is a locked room with hidden treasure and potentially a deadly curse. The temple has 6 enormous secret vaults that contains priceless treasure. These vaults are known as Chambers A through F. A 7-person committee was only able to open 5 of these vaults, but they were all exceptionally difficult to open, even with modern technology. Chamber B is the only door that they were unable to open. No one knows what is locked behind its gates. Some conspiracy theorists think that Chamber B is extremely holy, or that it has many valuable items with unknown origins. Some even say that it may contain the largest undiscovered treasures in the entire world. And at number 9 is a sealed mausoleum located in Brompton Cemetery in London. Might be a fully functioning Victorian time machine. Well, that's what people are claiming at least. For 150 years this tomb has been sealed, and on the outside it is covered with ancient Egyptian gods and hieroglyphs. Some people believe that the ancient Egyptians have discovered the secrets to time travel, also eternal youth and eternal life. But the answer are located forever behind the heavy doors of this mausoleum, because no one is actually able to open this bronze door. If living forever is behind those doors, we need to make technology now to have it opened. Next up, at number 8, we have the Sphinx Hall of Records. The Great Sphinx of Giza is a limestone statue of a mythical creature that has the body of a lion and a head of a human. But this world famous statue has a lot more mysteries than meets the eye. Under the left foot of the Sphinx is a chamber that people are calling the Hall of Records. Apparently this hall contains documents about our ancient civilization and some information regarding Atlantis. The only problem is this chamber is behind a door that no one can open. The Egyptian government is blocking people from accessing this top secret room. But why? I'm really curious to know what exactly is in this room. What are they hiding? And I think we're entitled to know, what's behind those doors. Sealed chambers in ancient Aztec site in Mexico City takes us to number 7. Archaeologists in Mexico have discovered a passageway that leads to 2 sealed chambers. These chambers were found in one of the largest temples of the ancient Aztec capital. Does this mean there's going to be a major excavation in the near future? Well, not exactly. The tunnel that leads us to the chambers measures in at 18 inches wide and about 5 feet high. There are also extremely heavy boulders that are blocking our access to these chambers, but they were able to remove 1 3-ton rock away from the mouth of the tunnel, and they discovered a large box in a hollow space beneath it. This box contained gold ornaments, stone knives, and the bones of children and eagles. I mean, children and eagles? What the heck is going on? Do we really want to know what's behind, that sealed chamber? I don't think so. Let's keep that damn thing locked forever. And now at number 6, we have a mysterious rock with an ancient door. I mean, take a look at this rock. This is probably one of the coolest things that I've ever seen. It was found in a mountain region in southern Peru near Lake Titicaca. It is located in an area that is known as a Valley of the Spirits or Stone Forest, and that's because there are a bunch of strange rock formations that resemble people, buildings, animals, dinosaurs, and other structures. The door is known as the Gate of the Gods, and it measures in at exactly 7 meters in height by 7 meters in width. According to the local legend, heroes would pass through this gate so that they can have immortality. But of course, this is a local legend and the gate is now sealed. Svalbard, a global seed vault, brings us to number 5. This seed vault is built in an abandoned Arctic coal mine deep inside of a mountain. It was designed to preserve the world's crops and plants in the event of a global disaster. It contains about 1 million packets of seeds from almost every country in the world. I was so fascinated when I was researching this. It was built underneath the permafrost so that it can stand the test of time. But apparently the architects and engineers who built this thing didn't take global warming into consideration, and that's because the permafrost is now melting, and the water has a high chance of flooding the vault. So in this case, the door can be opened, but no one should open it because all of the seeds will be ruined. But then what happens when it's time to open it? Everything's just going to be ruined. But I guess hopefully we don't get to that point. Area 51 floats onto this list at number 4. For years, Area 51 has been the center of many conspiracy theories about extraterrestrial life and UFO sightings. It is a highly classified remote area located in Nevada, and its purpose is actually unknown. Well, not too long ago, Google Earth found a mysterious crater-shaped hole in the ground near Area 51 that is unlike anything I've ever seen. Once this image circulated around the internet, of course conspiracy theorists from around the world started to speculate that this crater is an entrance to an underground military base. Because why not? If you look close enough, you can also see that it has a large thin object poking out in the middle of it. It kind of looks like a man-made tower. This obviously isn't a natural phenomenon, so what exactly is happening here at Area 51? Sadly, I don't think we're ever going to find out. The first emperor's tomb climbs onto this list at number 3. There are hundreds of pyramids found in China, and most of them have been covered by nature and left unexplored. However, the first emperor's tomb has technically been explored, but only around the edges where the terracotta army was found. Chinese archaeologists know exactly where the entrance is, but they're actually refusing to go inside. They are speculating that the tomb is laced with booby traps or an ancient curse. It is believed that the emperor sealed all of the workers that created the tomb inside so they can never reveal to others what is actually inside of the temple. I'm betting that there are priceless artifacts and a huge pile of treasure inside, but for me, yeah, I would be way too afraid to go inside, even if there's like $1 trillion worth of treasures. Because what's the point of being a trillionaire if you don't survive? Banff Springs Hotel Room 873 creeps into number 2. If you're planning a trip to Banff, Alberta, Canada, and you want to stay at a beautiful Banff Springs hotel, you should probably stay away from room 873. This is known as the missing room, and according to the story, a family was brutally killed in this room decades ago. After a very long investigation, the room was refurbished and booked out to travelers, but soon after, people kept reporting creepy disturbances. Apparently, guests would fall asleep in the room, but then they would just wake up to a very loud scream. All of the lights would turn on, and they would find a bloody handprints on the mirrors. I would be totally freaking out. But by the time the staff made it to the room, everything would just be back to normal. Because of this, the hotel got a really bad reputation, so they decided that, you know what, it might be a really good idea to just seal off this horrific room and not allow people inside. The door was removed and the opening was covered with drywall, and the staff are forbidden to talk about room 873. Sealed doors in the Taj Mahal tops this list in at number 1. The Taj Mahal, well, it's considered as a symbol of eternal love, and it is listed as one of the 7 wonders of the world. I would absolutely love the opportunity to one day see it. It's a beautiful piece of architecture, but there are a lot of secrets located within its walls, so let's explore. The Taj Mahal has hundreds of rooms that have been sealed off to the general public. These rooms are supposedly kept closed since the time of Shah Jahan, and they have been sealed with brick and lime. If you ever visited the Taj Mahal, you know that these 2 staircases leading to the first floor are kept locked and barred. But why? These rooms are making me super curious, and I say we must bust down all those doors to see what's behind them. But maybe, just maybe, secrets are kept secrets because maybe we shouldn't want to know what's behind there.
Starting off this countdown, we have the Taj Mahal. Now, this one might come as a shocker to you. I mean, the Taj Mahal is a symbol of love, you know, what's so scary about it? But in reality, the Taj Mahal is riddled in secrets. In fact, it has a number of mysterious locked doors in the basement, and no one can enter them. In fact, there are 1,089 rooms. Some need to stay locked and closed forever. Well, why? One theory is that the rooms are made up of marble. Too much exposure to carbon dioxide could transform them into calcium carbonate. If that happens, then the marble will literally crumble, and the 4 towers that surround the Taj Mahal will collapse. So in this case, the doors need to stay closed if you don't want to destroy this beautiful building. In our 9th spot, we have room 666. Honestly, I think you already understand why this room should never be opened. So according to a local university legend, they used to have a dorm room number 666. 2 girls were staying in that room, and sadly one of them took her own life. The other roommate stayed in that room alone. but complained that her dead roommate was haunting her, and so she requested a new room. Apparently in the middle of the night, she would hear sounds of scratching as if someone was crawling along the floor. Another time she heard her ex-roommate laugh in her ear. As a result, the school decided to board up the room and it's no longer used. Moving on to number 8, we have the Great Sphinx of Giza. The Sphinx is a massive structure with the body of a lion and a head and face of a human. It is around 240 feet long, 20 feet wide, and 66 feet tall. Most researchers believe that the Sphinx was meant to act as a guardian for the pharaoh Khafra, whose pyramid is located beside it. It may actually be his face that is on the Sphinx. Now, apparently there are 2 rectangular chambers under the Sphinx paws. These chambers were discovered by seismographs. It also revealed that there are 2 entrances to enter this chamber, but they are sealed shut. Of course, everyone wants to know what's behind these locked doors, but we might never know. Researchers refuse to open the chamber. Why? Well, some believe that opening the chamber will release a great Egyptian curse. But it's believed that these chambers will lead us to the Hall of Records, like a bunch of old scrolls from back in the day. They also believe that it may contain some information on the lost city of Atlantis. Honestly, it's 2021. Just crack open the chamber. Like, it can't get any worse. In our 7th spot, we have the Winchester House. The Winchester House is a mansion said to be haunted by a number of ghosts. Some are friendly, but some and most are malicious. It was built in 1886 and construction was ongoing. It was believed that the owner, Sarah Winchester, could communicate with ghosts, and they were the ones instructing her on how to build her house. According to her, the ghosts warned Sarah, saying that if she continued building, then she would live, but if she stopped, she would die. As a result, her house was always under construction. In the end, she had 160 rooms, 47 stairways, 17 chimneys, and 6 kitchens. So on and so on, you get it. Well, some of the rooms in her house remain boarded up and are never to be opened. That's because it's believed the spirits of some of the ghosts are locked in those rooms. Should you open the door, the ghost would escape. So yeah, let's please keep those doors locked. Coming in at number 6, we have the guest bedroom. So this story was shared on Reddit by a user whose grandmother sadly passed away in her guest bedroom. Towards the end of her grandmother's life, she was looking after her, and so the grandma lived with her. One morning she woke up to discover her grandmother had passed away in her sleep. Weeks later, she came home to find the grandmother's room wide open. She had always kept the room closed, since walking by reminded her too much of her grandmother. But every day she would return home and the door would be wide open. In fact, one day she walked by the open door and saw the shadow of her grandmother laying in bed. She was terrified, and as a result, she keeps the door bolted shut. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the smallpox vaults. Back in the day, the smallpox virus took the lives of millions. It was super deadly and contagious. In fact, it has been linked back to ancient Egyptian times, as it was found in the tombs of Egyptian mummies. Many pharaohs and queens died from smallpox. Thankfully, it isn't around to this day, but it sorta is. So tiny amounts of this disease are frozen inside of a top secret military bioweapons facility in America and Russia. They claim they are saving these samples to make better vaccines in case smallpox ever returned. But it's concerning. These countries could literally use these samples in a biological warfare, and we would all be screwed. But anyways, for now, they are safely locked away in these vaults, in which you should never open. All we need is this virus getting unleashed. Moving on to number 4, we have Onkalo Nuclear Waste Facility. After running into the problem of not knowing where to store toxic waste, a Finnish company has come up with a solution. Basically, they are burying their toxic nuclear waste in a huge underground facility. Once this room is completely full, they will seal it off forever. Okay, I mean, this one is self-explanatory. Opening up a storage of nuclear waste would be highly deadly. If any of that got out, it could end in tragedy. Now here's the thing. It said that this storage site will only be able to hold the waste for 100,000 years. So we're good. But in 100,000 years, the new humans on Earth are screwed. Or maybe they'll be so advanced that it won't be a thing they need to worry about. In our third spot, we have the tomb of Yin Shi Huang. In 1974 in China, a group of farmers were digging around when they came across a life-size terracotta soldier. After that, archaeologists spent 4 decades excavating the site. They found an army of thousands of these terracotta soldiers. Experts say there's more than 8,000 of them. The soldiers are guarding the tomb of Yin Shi Huang, and the tomb is off limits to everyone, including scientists. This is because it's rumored that it's protected by deadly booby traps. Not only that, there is a high concentration of mercury in the tomb, which is deadly for anyone if they enter without the proper equipment. So the tomb is off limits for any and everyone, and the entrance remains sealed off forever. In our second spot, we have Padmabhaswamy Temple. This is a Hindu temple located in India. It was built in the 16th century as a holy shrine to Mahavishnu. Later on, the kings of Travancore renovated it. Now, this temple contains 6 vaults. One of the vaults hasn't been opened since the 16th century. In 2011, 5 out of the 6 vaults were open, and they found an abundance of wealth. They were filled with gold and jewels and coins. Everything in total added up to $1 trillion. So you would think they would want to open the 6th vault, right, to see what treasures it holds too? No, they don't even dare to enter this vault. This vault is referred to as Vault B. So the entrance to this vault is decorated with 2 cobras. Legend goes that in the 1920s, someone tried to enter the door to this vault, but failed after a cobra came out of nowhere and killed them. Not only that, but some believe that this vault is protected by a fatal curse. This cobra might have been part of that curse. So yeah, I can see why it remains sealed off. And in our number 1 spot, we have Banff Springs Hotel. Banff Springs is a beautiful location in Banff National Park, Canada. It's considered a luxury mountain resort. But here's the thing, this hotel is said to have a very tragic past. So there's a legend surrounding room 873. Room 873 on the 8th floor of the hotel is mysteriously missing. There's no room 873, it just skips it. Well, legend goes that in 1928, a married couple and their daughter checked into the hotel, but they never checked out. The father ended up taking the lives of his wife and daughter before taking his own life. Anyone that stayed in room 873 claimed that it was haunted. They would wake up to hear the sounds of screams or find bloody handprints on their bathroom mirror. As a result, the room was sealed up. They don't want anyone staying in this room. Now here's the freaky part. If you go to the 8th floor, there's a spot where you can see where room 873 used to be. Even if you knock on the wall, it's hollow, which means there is a room behind the plastered wall. That is so freaky. I'm glad that they're keeping that room sealed forever.
Starting off at number 10 now, we have Vault B. Padmanabhaswamy Temple is one of the most sacred and popular temples in India. It's visited by many pilgrims and tourists all throughout the year. However, for all the visitors to the temple, there is one room that nobody can enter. They say it is a locked room filled with hidden treasures and shrouded in a deadly legend. This rumor seemed to actually come true when, in 2011, the Indian Supreme Court set about exploring the temple and documenting its belongings. They discovered 6 secret vaults with no latches on to open them. Inside 5 of them, they found $22 billion worth of jewels, statues, and coins. Well, they knew that 5 of the vaults contained that. Vault B has remained sealed ever since its discovery. They simply can't open it up. Nobody knows what lies beyond its gates. Because of this secrecy around Vault B, urban legends have begun to spread. People say that any attempts to open Vault B will unleash calamity on the locals. They point to the fact that one of the committee members actually lost their mother while trying to investigate what was inside Vault B. Others insist that Vault B has some sort of hidden trick to it, that there is actually a hidden tunnel beneath the vault. Of course, if this is true, that only produces even more questions. Next up at number 9 now, we have Chernobyl's basement. Those of you who've been watching my videos for more than a year or so now will know that I seem to never never go long without talking about the Chernobyl nuclear power plant that exploded in Ukraine in 1986, spreading a toxic cloud over Europe and creating a dead zone around the town of Pripyat for decades to come. Although visitors are now permitted to go on special tours right up to the actual building, there is one place that people still cannot enter. Inside Reactor 4 is a room that contains the Elephant's Foot, a dense mass of sand, glass, concrete and nuclear fuel that weighs 100 tons. It's the remains of the nuclear core that melted through its containment vessel. Now, at the time of the explosion, it was so radioactive immediately following the catastrophe that being exposed to it for just 300 seconds was enough to kill you within 2 days. Even today, the situation hasn't improved by much. These days you won't be killed after spending a few minutes in there, it will take an hour. But that's still crazy if you think about it. Because of all this, the Elephant's Foot room remains totally sealed to the public, although I don't think it even really needs to be sealed. I think people are smarter than that. Moving on to number 8 now, we have Black Dolphin Prison. This prison is where the worst of Russian criminals are locked away. Almost 700 criminals are contained there, including child molesters, murderers, terrorists, cannibals, serial killers, and what the authorities simply refer to as maniacs. All prisoners are serving life sentences for their crimes. The inmates are kept in isolated cells with 3 steel doors. They're allowed 90 minutes of exercise a day and are kept under 24-hour supervision. Every 15 minutes, a guard will check on all of the inmates. They are fed soup 4 times a day and are allowed no contact with the outside world. Prison guards even place blindfolds on new arrivals so that they cannot map out the prison to then plan an escape. It's a seriously dark place. Russia does not want a single prisoner there to escape. For Russia, the lock on these prison cells and the final lock on the prison's doors are some of the most important in the whole country. Next up at number 7 now, we have the first emperor's tomb. Deep under a hill in central China lies the first emperor of China's tomb. He died in 210 BC, over 2,000 years ago. He has remained undisturbed ever since. For centuries, this was due to its location being a closely guarded secret and also out of respect. In recent years though, why has nobody been there? Well, the respect is definitely still there, but some archaeologists say that this is because nobody actually has the technology to go in there and excavate it. There's also the fact that the moat that surrounds the tomb is an actual moat of mercury. Very poisonous. Next up at number 6 now, we have North Brother Island. This island is located in the East River off the coast of South Bronx in New York. It's home to Riverside Hospital. It was built in 1855 in order to house patients with extremely infectious diseases such as typhus, tuberculosis, yellow fever and smallpox. During World War II, it was used to house military veterans. Then the government put heroin addicts in there for treatment before finally closing it for good. People could understand why they closed the hospital, but the authorities actually closed the entire island forever. New York now forbids anyone from ever visiting. Of course, this has sparked many theories about what is now inside Riverside Hospital. Some say it's haunted by the people who suffered there, including its most famous ghost known as Typhoid Mary. Others say that people are still being contained there for secret government projects. As long as the building remains under lock and key, we may never know the answers. Moving on to number 5 now, we have the Sphinx Hall of Records. Rumor has it that a secret lies under the Great Sphinx in Egypt, the Hall of Records, an ancient library full of hidden information. It's said to contain piles of documents, scrolls, and lost information, even the whereabouts of the lost continent of Atlantis, if you're into that sort of thing. Those who push this theory believe that investigation into the existence of the Hall of Records has been blocked by the Egyptian government, further fanning the flames of a cover-up. They point to seismic surveys that apparently suggest the existence of a large rectangular chamber 25 feet beneath the monument's front paws. Critics have called these theories pseudo-archaeology, but the belief in a secret locked room below the Sphinx is still being pushed by many. Moving on to number 4 now, we have the Lascaux Cave. On September 12th, 18-year-old Marcel Rabidat discovered a mysterious cave near the village of Montignac in France. He brought his friends back and they discovered paintings on the walls of animals. It wasn't until experts were called in that they realized just what they had found. The cave contained almost 600 paintings that dated back to over 17,000 years ago. They were made by Neolithic people people and had become one of the most breathtaking examples of early human artwork ever discovered. The people who made this immortalized their life and the animals they depended on in ways which we had previously thought was beyond them. Their color schemes and 3D illusions have made historians rethink just how primitive our ancestors really were. The cave was opened up to the public in 1948, however in 1955 the heat, humidity and contaminants produced by the visitors had seriously damaged the paintings and mold began to grow. The cave was closed to the public in 1963. It now remains locked behind a door. Its ancient paintings of a long gone world are now shrouded in darkness. Moving on to number 3 now, we have Svalbard's Global Seed Vault. You may not have heard of this place, but it may just be our best defense if an apocalypse happens. This vault is buried inside a Norwegian mountain, just 810 miles south of the North Pole. It's protected by ocean, hundreds of miles of frozen wasteland, and even a few bears. If you manage to get there, the vault itself is deep inside the mountain. It's said to be able to withstand a nuclear holocaust or an earthquake. So, what is so important that it needs this kind of protection? Well, seeds. Yeah, seeds. Over 1 million seed samples are there. They represent over 13,000 years of agricultural history. If there is some sort of global disaster, some species or plants, or perhaps even all of them, might be under threat. If the plants in a species all die and we don't have any seeds left, it's going to be very hard or even impossible to bring that plant back to life. That's where this seed vault comes in. It could be a light in the darkness if the world as we know it ever comes to an end. Without plants, we wouldn't be able to survive for very long. The authorities who run the vault keep strict control of who can go through their big locked doors. The survival of the world may one day depend on it. Moving on to number 2 now, we have Area 51. No list of this nature would be complete without mentioning the famous Area 51. That's the nickname of Edwards Air Force Base, owned by the United States Air Force. The facility in Nevada is renowned for its ultra secrecy. Anyone who tries to even get close is turned around by the vigilant and 24-hour military security there. This, of course, has led many people to theorize about what exactly they are so secretive about. Many will tell you that it's a testing facility for advanced aircraft and weaponry. Others believe that it's actually a containment facility for a crashed alien spacecraft and its alien owners. Specifically, these conspiracists say it houses the remains of an alien crash landing in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. For this reason, many people fear what lies behind the many locked doors of Area 51. And finally, at number 1 now, we have Ise Grand Shrine. This is a Shinto shrine in Japan that is held in such high regard by many believers. It's so sacred that only members of the imperial family can enter. Nobody else is allowed to even see inside the shrine. As such, not very much is known about what's inside it or even what goes on in there. What we do know is that it represents an important part of the Shinto belief of death and the renewal of nature. Because of this, the entire shrine is burned to the ground every 20 years in this sort of death and renewal cycle. The current shrine that's there right now was rebuilt from the ashes in 2013, which means you may be able to witness a new one being burned and then rebuilt in 2033 if you're willing to wait that long. If you go before that though, you'll be left staring at the mysterious locked doors of this temple and wondering what secrets lie behind it.